In this video today, we are going to look into a profound topic that affects many of us, the meaning of life and the void of not seeing ourselves as enough. Today, I want us to explore the meaning of life and why often many of us feel so incomplete. What are the factors contributing to us feeling this void? And what steps can we actually take into a fulfilling life and knowing that? So now let's first look at the purpose of life or living. And the purpose of life or living is a deeply personable question, and it's rooted in many different forms. If we look at the biological perspective, for example, from a biological point of view, the purpose of life is to survive, is for us to reproduce and to ensure the continuation of our genes and our species, right? If we look at a philosophical perspective, many philosophers, they have explored the purpose of life. Some, like Aristotle, even believe that, it's an act of achieving a state of flourishing through virtue. And others actually argue that life has no purpose. And it's up to each of us and as individuals to create our own meaning. If we step into religious and spiritual perspectives, we find that different religions have various interpretations as to the purpose of life. For instance, let's look at Christians. Many of us Christians, we believe that the purpose of life might be to live according to God's will and to develop a relationship with God and to serve others. While in other religions like Buddhism, they look at it and they say the purpose of life might be to attain enlightenment, to escape the cycle of suffering and all that stuff. When we look at from a personal perspective, because most of us have personal perspective, on an individual level, many people find that the purpose is in personal fulfillment. Things like happiness, relationship, growth, and contributing to something greater than ours. So ultimately, if we look at these 4 points, the purpose of life is really a subjective experience and is according to one's aspiration. So if it's very subjective, why are we not basing it on our own terms? And this is the reason. The reason is people often look for something greater than themselves because we have an inherent desire for meaning and connection and purpose that goes beyond individual existence. And this search has driven us crazy. And I found that there are 4 main factors that make us look for something greater than something outside of ourselves. And for number 1, it's, we human beings have an innate curiosity and wonder. We humans, we naturally are curious and we seek to understand our place in the universe. We have this kind of curiosity which often leads us to explore concepts, ideas, entities, which are greater than us. We are just naturally curious. Number 2, we have this kind of questions that cannot even be answered. We keep asking right? We want to have the awareness of mortality. We have the awareness of mortality and the finite nature of life. And so it prompts us to ask these questions about our purpose, our legacy, and all that stuff. We keep seeking comfort and awareness and answers in beliefs, causes, and communities so that we can extend beyond our individual lives. Number 3, we human beings, we are always looking for a sense of belonging. We want to be part of something greater. We want to provide something greater to provide for us a sense of belonging and a sense of community. We want to be connected to other individuals, to a larger narrative. We want something that can offer us support, and can have those shared values and a sense of identity. And then number 4, if we look at the psychological fulfillment part, many of us, we want to engage in causes or beliefs beyond ourselves, something that we ourselves cannot provide. We want psychological benefits such as a sense of accomplishment, reduced anxiety, and increased satisfaction in life. Now, this leads me to my main question. So why is there a big void of not seeing ourselves as enough? And several factors have contributed to that feeling that we are not. Lastly, let's look at social comparisons. We are constantly comparing ourselves to others, especially on social media. Now, this has led to us feeling inadequate and unworthy. Secondly, we have all these cultural and societal pressures. Let me tell you, the society standards of success and beauty and achievement, they have created unrealistic expectations. It's made us so hard for an individual to feel sufficient. Thirdly, we have these psychological factors such as, low self-esteem, past traumas, negative self-talk. They keep reinforcing that belief in us that you are not enough. Lastly, and this one is big, materialism. We are experiencing a huge focus on material success and external validation. And this has distracted us so much from internal fulfillment and self-worth. So now this leads us to a very big question. How do we actually live a life of fulfillment knowing that I am enough? How do we do that as individuals with all these things that are facing us? Number one, and the thing that I've found that has really worked for me is self-acceptance. Embracing and accepting myself, and this includes my strengths and my weakness, and understanding that imperfection is part of being human. Number two is mindfulness and presence. Most of us advocate for the future. We are always looking for, that thing that will happen in the future. There's so much content out there always telling you, what is your 5-year plan? What is your 10-year plan? But I've found that being mindful and present and appreciating this form right here that I have, because this is what I have right now. This is me right now. There's no other me. The future me or the past me, I cannot go to those ones. Number three, internal validation. I found that shifting my focus from external validation and actually, looking and recognizing that I have achievements that I have made and being able to congratulate myself for those achievements, for recognizing that this far I have come, I am doing it. This is it. This is what I'm doing. So shifting from that external validation to internal validation, where I'm telling myself, girl, you're doing it. You're on the path. This is it right here, not right now. Not the tomorrow me, not the yesterday me, not the 5 years to come me, but this right here. Now, the next thing, gratitude. Cultivating gratitude by regularly reflecting on and appreciating what I have, has really helped me to foster contentment and to reduce feelings of lack. This for me, guys, has been so big. It has been so big, and it's helped me to actually nurture relationships, to build understanding, and to reinforce my force of belonging and worth. Purposeful living. I tell you guys, being able to engage in causes that align with my values. And again, this one has become it's something that is very, very clouded for most of us. Most of us, when we talk about values and living and all that and beliefs, we always tend to be actually talking about other people's values, other people's beliefs, other people's systems. This is what where the problem lies. We talk about what other people have told us. We think about what values have been said there through the societies, through our culture, through our parents and all that. So we have not defined what our values are. We have not taken time to look into what values do I have? What do I value? Do I value family? Do I value free time? Do I value experience? What do I value? Because a lot of people also confuse values for virtues. Values are not virtues. Values are things that are important to you, and you have to break them all the way down to figure out the most important thing to you. To you, not to your mom, because your mom told you that, hey, you have to have a family. Not to your dad, because your dad told you have to have a career. Not to your husband, because your husband told you have to be, I'm marrying someone who can give me peace. Those are not your values. Those are other people's values. So being able to define my values and what I know that gives me fulfillment has helped me to be able to jump from this position where I was seeking validation from outside. I'm seeking to find something beyond myself, where I was always seeking to grow to this higher self, to meet other people's standards, to work with other people's ideas and beliefs. So this, for me, is the journey, the true journey to actually being able to stop feeling like you have some sort of void inside you, like life has no meaning. Because when you are struggling to meet other people's meanings of life, then you can never actually fulfill your own meaning and definition of life. As we have looked at the 4 things that define life, if you look at it biologically, they tell you it's for you to sustain your line, to grow and reproduce, and to be able to have that line of your genes continuing, your genealogy. If you look at it from, religious point of views, religion will give you different points of view as to what is the meaning of life. They'll tell you that, it's for you to connect with God, to live a meaningful life, for you to, to live a life of detachment, to find purpose. So the meaning of life will always be fleeting unless you define it for yourself. You have to define the meaning of life for yourself and stop looking at it through the definition of other people's lenses. You know what I realized, guys? A lot of us, we watch so many videos, we read so many books, and it's good to read those books. It's good to look at other people's work. But you have to remember that those people came into this world just like the way you came into this world. All these books that have been written, they all came with people having come into this world by themselves as individuals. The information that got to them and helped them on an individual level. And yes, they shared it, and some of it we can take it. But the most important thing when you are looking for purpose and you're trying to fill that void that you feel is in life, when you're trying to understand what life is, can only come from you. It can only come from within. It can't come from another person's work. It can't come from another person's words. Yes, somebody else's work can help you to kind of coin an idea. But ultimately, you have to sit down with yourself, quiet yourself, and actually analyze your life and find out what makes me tick. What makes me keep going? And the one thing that has really, really paralyzed a lot of us in life is thinking that we are not enough. And this has been really, really propagated by a lot of the things we read out here. Because most of the religious texts, most of the ancient texts, most of the gurus out there will have you thinking that you have to reach a certain other level. The problem here is that you negate the level you are in. You seem to forget that even to reach that level, you have to recognize all the functions that you have taken within this level. You have to recognize all the strength, all the effort you have put in to reach here, good or bad. The results that you are having, you have put in the work, whether the work has been lazy, hard work, intelligent work, not so intelligent work, but it has been your input. Now, you have to realize that that input of yours is so important, is just as important as the other person's input that you have been reading about. And because their input has worked for them and has moved them from point A to point B, you yourself, you have to work out your own input. But it starts by recognizing that you are enough in this moment that you are in. Let's look at it this way. So far, you have created this whole life. You have purposely created, even if you didn't know that you are purposely creating your life, you have purposely created this life up to this minute. As you are watching this video, you are creating something. Your mind is thinking of something. Same to me, when I'm creating this video, I'm purposely creating these words. I'm purposely creating this moment. I'm purposely posting this video out. And you can absolutely do the same. Life is not just for one person or two people. Life is for you as an individual. Life is for you as a person. And the problem why we are feeling this void within us, the reason why we keep feeling a void is because we keep looking to others to solve an issue that does not even need to be solved in the first place. It just needs to be tweaked. Your method has been working because you're alive right now. Everything around you is creating. You are creating your circumstance as you go. So you are a creative. You are a person who is creating. You are a person who has all the power in the world. Because if you didn't have all the power in the world, you would be like a stone whose creation is based on other things influencing it. So you have created and you continue to create. There's no other thing for you to go out there and start to acquire. You just need to ask yourself, now that I have created this, and now that I know that I have all this power within me, now that I know that I have all these skill sets within me, how do I shift this skill set and this power now to create the thing that now I have been thinking about, or I have been, just oogling over, the thing that I've been desiring, because there's something you're desiring, right? So you have already created, the steps, everything. Don't undermine your process. Don't undermine the person you are. For those who are parents, or for those who have ever been kids, I want you to picture it like this. When you're a child, and maybe you created something like a drawing. Just imagine if you took this drawing to your parent, and every time your parent looked at the drawing, they would tell you, oh no, you need to draw one that is better, that is the ultimate picture, the picture that is the highest version of the picture. Do you know how discouraged that child would be? That child would feel so discouraged. If we spoke to our children the same way we speak to ourselves, or the same way we take this advice from other people, in thinking that we are not enough, right? Let's look even at another example. When we have children, any child, even if you've never had a child, and you see the child trying to walk for the first time, their steps are very fumbled. Their steps, in fact, sometimes you can even laugh at the way they stand up and then they fall. You want to laugh because it looks very awkward. But we don't laugh. We cheer on those children. We don't look at it as a flaw. We look at it as progress. We recognize and we celebrate in that moment, that achievement. We recognize that this person, this child, took their first step. We document it, we do everything. And all the time we keep sending people's pictures and say, oh, she took her first step. We post it on Facebook, we post it on Instagram. We celebrate beyond ourselves for just that one step. We don't look at it as and tell the kid, oh, you're walking this step, but this step is so fumbled. You need to walk at level 200. You need to start running like Usain Bolt. It would be crazy, right? So it's the same thing with life. The reason why we feel a void is because we keep undermining the present, and we keep pressuring ourselves to be the future. While the future has its own place, the future has its own time, but the present is what we have. So we must look at ways of embracing the present, living in the present, and recognizing that there is no higher self beyond what you have. The thing is, you have just been practicing the right skills, the right manifestation on the wrong things. That is all. That is all. So when you start practicing those same skills, because trust me, those skills have led to the life you had. Because what leads to your life? It is focus. You focus on one thing and you manifest your life. That thing becomes and, enlarges. We human beings, we are like a magnifying glass. If you take yourself and you focus on a certain set of things, you magnify those things. That is simple like that. So now, the thing is shifting from magnifying this set of ideas, this set of thoughts, this set of beliefs, which most of them are not even yours in the first place, and shifting to just focusing on the things that you have been desiring. When we do that, we find out that the meaning of life is living. It is simple as that. The meaning of life is living in the present. In the present. The moment we start giving so much pressure into the future, and also always looking back into the past and bringing and carrying the past into the present, we are always robbing ourselves. We have no time to live. This is why we feel a void, because you are not actively living. You are actively comparing and you're actively chasing your future. So that is the problem. We are actively chasing our future and actively reflecting on our past while neglecting to actually live in the present. So then, as a result, you start asking yourself, what is the purpose of living? And we feel that void because we are not present. And a lot of times we do this because we want to become something instead of just being that thing. We want to become wealthy. We want to become healthy. We want to become loving. We want to become all those things we want to become. And then we reflect and we look at our mostly we look at failures. You say, oh, and I tried this and it didn't happen. I tried this and it didn't work out. I tried this and I was so bad at it. So now we are always doing the true. And because this is not taken care of, there is nothingness in the present. There is nothingness in our present moment. There is a void in our present moment. This is why now we end up looking for all these ideas and searching everywhere and trying to find out what is the meaning of life. Why am I here? Because if you are not here practicing what you're supposed to be practicing, then you will be confused. You will obviously be so disheartened. You will be so like, why? What is my purpose? Why am I even here? Yet you are here just to live and to have an experience. So for God's sake, just have the experience. The whole idea of, and so many gurus, so many people have gotten it wrong. And even the people who interpret some of the religious texts, especially the religious groups, they are notorious for this. They will make it seem as if, we have to work for something. Look at, for example, Christianity. We are here on earth and God has created for us a beautiful earth to live on. He's given us authority to have dominance, to live and to prosper, and to just be here. Of course, to worship him, to please him, depending on whatever religion you are in. But basically, religion and all that other stuff is about, us connecting to God and being present and living this. But that, when it now comes to the part where now you start being told that, oh, now there is heaven, So there is heaven and everything you're doing here is useless and you have to work to become this person who will enter heaven. Oh, let me tell you, people are chasing heaven, forgetting their life. Forgetting that I've got to live in this world. I've got to honor what God brought me to do on this earth. I've got to honor this experience. I've got to recognize that at this very moment, I am breathing. At this very moment, I have children. At this very moment, I have maybe a wife, a husband, a partner, or whatever. I have, I have a mom, I have a dad. At this very moment, I have these ideas. So instead of sitting down and wasting so much time trying to run and bring the future from the future to here, why don't you just do those things? Why don't you just, if it's just being happy, look around and say, to you, what does happiness mean? Does it mean taking a walk? Then go for a walk. What does happiness mean? Does happiness mean me sleeping for 8 hours? Then sleep for 8 hours and be happy. Does happiness mean me creating value for other people and teaching them stuff? Then turn on your camera and start teaching people about the stuff that you know. Does happiness mean me going on vacation? Then for God's sake, go on vacation, even if it's in your backyard. You see, a lot of us complicate things. We think that, oh, I've got to go on the vacation that, the other person went to on Instagram because they went to this top hotel in Dubai or in the Maldives, or they went to Bangkok, or they went to Prague, or whatever they went to. And this person specifically said, these are the steps, or these are the places that you must visit. These are the most material, the must visit places, the must eat places you have to go, the places you have to visit when you're in New York. And most of us, we will struggle to think that this is the only thing. If I don't go to New York and go to these 5 places like this person said, then I've not visited New York. Meanwhile, maybe you live in Connecticut and you live just 5 minutes away from New York. Literally, you can just travel to the next town. It will be New York, and you walk there, and you have experienced New York. Find new things there in that city. And even if you can't travel to another place, then travel to your backyard, travel to your local store, and experience the same thing. Our minds don't know the difference between anything that even when you're imagining, or it doesn't know the difference. It just knows the feeling. So create that feeling and stop trying to rob your present, because we've been robbing our present and taking the future. We chase after the future while we are always looking back at the past and dragging the past into our present. And this is why we feel a void in our lives. When we are chasing heaven, when we are chasing wealth, when we are chasing prosperity, instead of right now, let me look at what wealth do I have? Because a lot of us also try to define wealth, prosperity, abundance, and so many other things according to the societal standards, according to something that somebody else said This is what prosperity looks like. And again, I go back to social media. A lot of it comes from social media. When we look at all the news, all the things, all the, the videos that people put across, and someone says, this is how I went from broke to millions. This is how I did this and this. Most of our brains now, we are hardwired to believe that this is the only way for me to be prosperous. That if I have $1 million in my account, I'm wealthy, or I'm prosperous, or I'm abundant, not realizing that you're abundant right now as you are. As I said, you've been manifesting your life. You've been creating abundance. You're already abundant. There is no abundance you're going to look for out there. The difference is you just need to shift your focus from what you've been being abundant at and shift it to what you actually now have defined for yourself as abundance. So sit down with yourself and say, what does abundance look to me? What does life look to me? What does it mean for me to be alive? Is it me going for my 9-to-5 job? And if it's that, then that's good, because that's service for you. Don't undermine the thing that you have right now, because most of the things we have right now are a vehicle taking us somewhere. The reason, for example, you took that job, the 9-to-5, or the reason why you're doing a business, the reason why maybe you're creating content, you have a reason for it. It might be clouded in so many things that people have said. People have said, make money online fast, make money, become a millionaire overnight. So maybe you might have fallen trapped to that at first. But if you walk yourself back, there is something inside you that is driving you to actually say, I want to quit my 9-to-5 to do A, B, C, D. And that is the value you need to define for yourself, and define it clearly without other influence from outside. So say, for example, you maybe went and did you did a course, maybe you went and studied on how to become a mechanical engineer or a doctor or something. There's something that drove you to that, whether it was your parents or what. They might have driven you to that, but there's an underlying thought that you had when even they were driving you or forcing you, or people are forcing you to do this thing. There's something in you that gave in and said, let me just do it because I will feel. That is what you need to feel out for yourself. What was that feeling you were going for? That is the value. That is your value. That is the underlying value. When you look at it critically, without looking at all those things and all those pressures and all those, I want to make money, you have to define for yourself the because I will feel. There was a feeling that you were going for. There was something that was important to you, even if this idea was forced on you, even if this thing was forced on you, whether it was a relationship, you felt you were trapped or anything, but there's something that made you go to it, even though you didn't agree with it. So defining that thing, be able to say, really, at the bottom of my heart, the reason why I went to this is because I want to belong. Okay, then you go back and say, why is it that I feel that I need to belong? Now look for that thing. What is it that drives you to feel like you want to belong? Once you get to that, you tell yourself, I feel like I want to belong because I enjoy other people's company, or I value friendship, or I value family. You see? So that is your value. Okay, that is your value. Now, when you define that value, it becomes very easy now to lead with your value. Now you can say, is this vehicle that I'm on right now good for me to actually achieving my value? Is it helping me with my values? Right? Am I feeling a sense of belonging? Am I feeling a sense of family? Am I feeling a sense of fulfillment? Maybe you went into something because you wanted to serve. So your value is in service to others. Now you have to look at it and say, is this thing, the vehicle that I've chosen, driving me to my value, my best value, which is being of service? When you define that, now it becomes easy for you to celebrate yourself, to actually define life on your own terms, and to know that I am enough, because you have created that space, you have made choices, you have moved from point A to point B. Trust me, you are doing just okay. You're doing good. Don't be pressured into thinking that you are not enough, that you have no contribution. Your contribution is just as great as the person who is inventing cars, or who is designing, I don't know which kind of watches or which kind of technology, or coming up with the latest apps. Your value, your presence is just as important, as needed as anybody's else. So guys, I hope this video has helped somebody out there in understanding that life